Hello everyone, and welcome to the second webinar of the MOOC Solving Complex Problems. My name is Jasmine van der Rande, and we're broadcasting to you live from our studio located on the Delft University, of course in the Netherlands. Our topic of the day are goals, goal trees and criteria. Alexander.
Thank you very much, Jasmine, for the introduction. Also a warm welcome from me. We've seen the statistics of the webinar of last week, and literally thousands of you have actually been watching, some live and some later on in the week. Thank you very much. That's what we do it for, that it helps you out and that it makes it easier for you to follow the course. So thank you very much for coming. I would like to show you some pictures again, this time not of the center of Delft, but this time of the university campus. So here you see one of the central buildings of the Delft University, very briefly. And some other pictures are coming. It doesn't look like, so we will skip that part. I love to show you some pictures of the campus, because the campus of Delft University is a very beautiful one. You could have seen on the pictures that the sky is very grey, again, like last week today, which is most of the time the case in the Netherlands in the autumn in November. It's very cold actually today. It's only 6 degrees. That's around 42, 44 Fahrenheit, I think, more or less. And please could you let us know, again, like last week, where you are watching from. So not only the city that you're watching from, but especially the location. Maybe you're watching from the office of your work. Maybe you're watching in bed with a tablet on your lap because it's tiring, because it's very late in the evening. Maybe you're watching in the public transport with your cell phone, or even in the library. Just let us know. Use the @SCPMOOC or the hashtag SCP on Twitter. And during the webinar session, please also chat with us and also talk with us on the forum. And I see that the pictures of the university campus are here. Some student houses, as you can see. And this is the Department of Civil Engineering. This is the Department of Electrical Engineering, one of the highest buildings with the TU Delft logo on. This is the Cultural Center, where you can play the music and do whatever. And this is one of the main buildings, where you can see there's a TEDx Delft Award. This is actually the building we are in now. And next week I probably can show you a little bit more about the studio. Okay, let me introduce the people around the table. There's one person that doesn't need any introduction. That's the person who's trying to make a picture right now. And this is Fieke Minema. Fieke Minema is in all the videos, so you've seen her many times. And last time she was also in the webinar. She has a phone and a tablet in front of her. That means that she is in contact with all of you in the world and trying to get all the questions that you ask in the discussion here at the table. And the other person is Jasmine van der Rande, who did the introduction. She has been a student in the on-campus version of this course, and nowadays she is one of the supervisors of students in that course.
Thank you, Alexander. Well, as I said, today the topic of today are goals, goal trees and criteria. But before we start with this, we would like to tackle some very frequently asked questions, because these really touch the core of the course. Fieke, would you please?
Yeah. Thank you. On the forum we saw many questions that were asked many times by multiple students. So we thought it would be very useful to discuss and address them here. Yes, some sort of frequently asked questions list. Well, let's go over them one by one. First, let's start with the roles of an analyst, advisor, advocate. Alexander?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite questions. That's why it's, I think, in the first multiple choice questions that we have. There you are. In the first multiple choice questions of the first week. We can imagine it's a little bit difficult to distinguish. What we mean here is not so much there's 3 different people. There's analysts and there's advocates and there's advisors. What we mean here is that you distinguish 3 types of roles. The moment you want to solve a complex problem, we think it's a very good idea to start in the role of analyst. The role of analyst means that you objectively collect information and somehow put it together so that you can make a decision, or that you can give that information to somebody else that can make a decision. But it's very important that you don't digest that information. It means there's no interpretation of that information. You don't change the information, you don't put it in another format. So it's only collecting information and putting it together such that somebody else can make a decision. Now, if you would step into the role of advisor, that means that you're going to digest that information. You're going to interpret the information. You're going to put value to it, and you're going to interpret it and make a decision about it. And say, well, there is one alternative, there's one potential solution that is better than another solution. In the role of advisor, or in the role of decision maker, you can make a choice, and you can also advise somebody else to make that choice and implement it. It's another role than an analyst role. That is a more neutral, objective role. And the third one that we've put in this question is the one of advocate, and that's a dangerous role, and I think you should really step out of it if you try to solve a complex problem, because that means that you would collect information, but only show the information to others that is promoting one particular alternative. That's literally what advocates do. It's not that they're lying, but they're only giving the information that's making one solution favorite. So that's the reason why I would love to distinguish the three.
Yeah. Okay.
Analyst, neutral, advisors, non-neutral, saying this solution is better than another one, and an advocate, I think you should stay out of it in a solving complex problem.
Great. And there were also many questions about the multiple choice question. What summarizes the role of an analyst using the tools of this MOOC best? And the answer was helping people decide, but many people were asking why. Why is that?
Yeah, it's also that many people were saying we try to find a solution, don't we? Yeah? So why do we make people decide? I think in the end that's what you do as an analyst. As an analyst you collect information, you try to make the problem explicit, and it's very difficult because you don't know what the problem is. The only way to know something about the problem is to look at all the different actors that are involved and try to combine the perceptions of these people about the issue that you study. If you would step into solving a complex problem with the idea that you know what the problem is, and also with the idea that you know what the answer is, then suddenly it's far more difficult to include the perspectives of all the different actors, and then you're just one of the actors with her or his particular perspective. The bad thing is that all the others involved also have a perspective and their solution, and that you keep on fighting. And that is what this course is all about, that decisions are taken. Maybe even a decision not to do anything, but as long as there is a decision taking. Before taking a decision, people are fighting and saying, no, this is the problem, no, this is the problem. No, my solution is better, no, my solution is better. That's what we try to avoid. We help people to at least make a decision. Could be the decision not to do anything, or a decision to do anything. But that's the objective of the course, to help people make a decision. So, in other words, to help people decide. Do you think that would solve?
Solve a complex problem? Oh, yeah. The last frequently asked questions about this topic was, it's actually very close to this one, why not focus on solutions? We have a perfect example of that, don't we?
Yeah. It's a beautiful post that we would like to show in the end, not now yet. Maybe first try to give an answer about why not focusing on the solution. It's a complex problem. So I'm repeating myself a little bit. It's a complex problem. We don't know what the problem is. The only way to find out is to combine the perspectives of different actors. Now, if you would start with a solution, then it would be impossible to move to any other solution, to compare solutions, or to come up with new ideas. Your solution space would be very, very small. So the moment you step in as an analyst, try to solve a complex problem, leave all the ideas about solutions aside, and step in with a fresh look, so to say, and try to collect as many potential solutions as you can, that you can compare them and eventually using all the information and decide upon one. Now indeed we have a beautiful example, and we've put it on the smart board. It's this one, and we will read it out aloud. Probably you can see it full screen if you're watching from College Rama. I don't have it on paper. Can you read it aloud, please?
We were working on the foundation of an extension project of a large mall in Dubai. The client set the following problem statement. How many micropiles do we need per location in order to fix the problem? We spent 1 month with discussions and engineering on the requested solution, and we had many problems with it. Feasibility problems, cost problems, new subcontractors, new actors, etc. And after 1 month, I realized that we had a wrong problem statement. It should have been, how can we fix the problem by any technical means without spending too much on remedial measures? We forgot about the micropiles that the client suggested and compared some other options. We decided, spent another 5 days of engineering, and it was much cheaper and much faster in the end.
This is exactly why we do the course, so thank you so much for posting this. As you can see, we changed it a little. I mean, we didn't change the meaning, of course, but we made it a bit shorter because else it didn't fit on the smartboard. But this is exactly what this course is about. There's so many people who step in a complex situation with the idea, this is the problem and this is the solution. They spend months and months and months and eventually find out that that particular solution is a very bad one. Maybe a good solution, but for another problem. And this example, and again, thank you very much for posting it, shows first try and find out what the real problem is behind that solution, and then decide upon what to do. And this time you saw it was much cheaper and faster in the end. You're not always lucky, huh? But at least you increase the odds of being lucky. Jasmine, I think. Yeah.
Yes, I hope everything was clear. So right now we can move on to the real topic of the week. As you probably remember, last week we started analyzing the complex problem by making a list of all the actors involved. For each and every actor, we made a problem statement. Well, right now, we'll try to identify goals for each actor and criteria. Alexander.
That's indeed the case. The topic of today is a logical next step in the analysis. And you start by solving a complex problem. Solving a complex problem by identifying what actors are involved, what perspectives they have, and you try to come up with a problem statement, with a dilemma, so that it describes what that person sees as a problem. But in the end, what you try to do is come up with a solution. Come up with many solutions, compare them, and decide upon one. That means that you're going to act. You're going to make changes in the system you study. You're going to make changes in your problem. And you better make changes that put you on the right track, that bring you into the direction of where you want to end up, that make you happy in the end. And for that you need to measure. For that you need to know the system state today and the system state tomorrow, and that it improves. And that's why we are going to work on goals this week and try to formulate criteria out of goals in goal trees.
Yeah, great. Yeah, also here we have some questions that you have asked online or in the webinar discussion forum. And the first actually was, how should we present the goal tree? Should it be in text? Should it be in a graph? How should it look like? Is there one way of doing it?
So what do you tell your students?
Yeah,
Shall we sketch one?
What I tell my students, well,
yeah.
I think the third thing is that in text it's always very difficult to explain something that can be very easily explained when you put it very visually. So I would also draw it.
Yeah, draw it.
Draw it.
The most standard format, I think, for a goal tree is something like this. And this is indeed also the most simple form that we have, because it's only 3 goals and it has 2 criteria. And the idea of a goal tree is that you have some sort of more general upper goal, like the example in the book, the example that's discussed so many times already on the forum, sustainable energy, for instance. And then you ask the question, what does sustainable energy mean? You can also ask the question, how can I measure whether a system has sustainable energy? Well, then you define, it's definition relations here. You define that more abstract upper goal in 2 more criteria. And in the case of sustainable energy, probably something with low emissions of a certain kind. And sustainability also has to do something with social aspects, so maybe accessibility to the energy grid or the price of that particular energy. That doesn't matter as long as it gets more concrete the further you go down into the goal tree. So if you need 2 layers, then it's fine. But maybe this one is already measurable and operational, but this one is still a little bit abstract. Well, then you add another layer. And have 2 criteria for that particular sub-goal. That doesn't really matter. I think this is a better format. We have seen on the forum many people that just typed out and wrote out like, this is the goal, this is the goal, this is the goal. The problem is that maybe these are very good goals, but it's very difficult to see whether there is some sort of upper goal, some sort of main goal that operationalizes into 2 sub-goals that are more concrete, that eventually operationalize one step further into another sub-goal that is more concrete.
Yeah, and the bigger the goal tree gets, the more difficult it is to explain it on paper.
Definitely,
exactly.
Yeah.
And also, there are many free versions of visual drawing programs that you can use. So, or you can just write it down on paper. That's possible as well.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The second question was how to start a goal tree. Actually, should we start like from a main goal, criterion, dilemma, or what's the best way to start?
I think there's 2, maybe it's easy to sketch. There's 2 different questions to ask. I think you can start anywhere in the goal tree. And the moment you would start here very low with a very concrete criterion, for instance, you can always ask yourself the question, why? Why this particular goal? Why do I want to reach this? Why do I want higher energy prices or higher speeds or lower fares? What's the reason for that? Then you come up to more abstract goals. If you would start a little bit higher up in the goal tree, like with a very broad main goal like sustainable energy, or the example, one of the examples we saw on the forum about studying faster on edX, then you ask another question and say, what? It's a little bit more elaborate question than just what, but what does it mean? You can also say, how can I define it? It's very important that you don't ask the question, how can I reach it? Because then you end up into solutions and actions and you get verbs, etc. And please avoid it at all times. You really try to define what it is. So you want definition relations and no causal relations. So we have the example of somebody who put on the post, if I want to study faster on edX, what was it exactly?
To have more spare time.
To have more spare time.
Ask the why, and then, yeah.
Yeah, and then said, okay, if that is my issue, that's a serious issue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true, maybe, well, I'm not
here,
studying so much anymore, but you guys are doing, so maybe it's a real question from real life. So if that would have to be turned into a goal tree with criteria, then you can say, okay, studying faster, why would I like to do that? Maybe I want to study efficiently, or maybe I want to have a better study experience. That's the answer to a why question. And the moment you have that answer, so then you know, faster studying is somewhere the goal here. And then more efficient studying or a better studying experience is the main goal. When you are there, then you can ask the what question and say, okay, what does it mean actually? What is it? Studying efficiency or have a better studying experience. And then it comes to studying faster, and there will be something with quality then I think, because the standard dilemma, studying faster is wonderful, and we have lots of spare time, but it must have a relation with the grades you get. So there immediately you see back the dilemma. And if you need more here, because there's something with quality needs to be operationalized, maybe you need a couple of other criteria. So you can, summing up, you can start a goal tree anywhere. If you are relatively low, then ask the why would I like to reach this question. If you're relatively high and it's a very abstract goal that you have in mind, then ask the very concrete, what does it mean, or what is it, or how is this defined question. And your goal tree basically follows.
Yeah. I think that you can stay standing up actually.
Is it?
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, so many questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Well, what incorporates with the last question is, of course, last week we did problem statements, actors, but how can you incorporate a problem statement into a goal tree? What's the connection between a problem statement and a goal tree?
I'm very happy with that question, because that's one of the consistency issues that we tell our students many times. Of course, there is a relation between the problem statement of an actor and the goal tree of that particular actor, because the problem statement is focusing on the heart of the problem, and if you want to measure the system state, to eventually find out whether your solutions bring you anywhere, then that dilemma should somehow also be found in the goal tree. Most of the time, it's not always true, but most of the time you find the dilemma in the second layer of the goal tree in the sub-goals. Now there's sketch 2 here, you could also have 3 or 4 or 5, but 2 of these definitely will show tension, and we already saw in the example just a minute ago that if your study time goes down because you want to do other things, you want to have spare time, then the quality maybe also of your work goes down a little bit. And most of the time you want to study maybe a little bit less, but definitely keep the grades up, and that's again where your tension is.
That's clear.
Would that solve?
Yeah.
Is there anything you add normally to students asking the question?
No, most of the times I say that it's a great starting point as well, to look at your dilemma and think that that can also be like, you can start higher up of course and lower down, but also start from your problem statement and think what do they want, and how can I make goals from my wish and from my dilemma. Yeah, so. Great. Can I keep on standing, or can I sit down? Yeah, you can sit down, I guess, for the next question. Let's see. The next question is, how large does a goal tree have to be? Like, can we make it imaginable big, or is this big enough, or is there a big enough? How you want to?
It's every year when I have students all over the world visiting Delft, and I always am under the impression that they have come from all the places in the world, and finally they come to Delft University and they will find out what the real answers are. I got a tweet, maybe a little joke to tell, a tweet of a friend of mine who's actually living in the US, and she sent me a picture of her boyfriend that just got a big shirt out of Delft which says, "I studied in Delft, so for efficiency's sake let's assume that I'm right." Somehow lots of people who are studying here and lots of people who come here to study have the idea that we find the real answers here, and that is problematic with the question you ask, because we can have 2 layers, then we have a goal tree, we can have 3 layers, and it could be a good goal tree, we can have 4 layers, we can have 5 layers. The only thing I think is that you come up with good criteria, and if you need 2 layers for that to operationalize your abstract goals, then it's fine. If you need 3, then it's also fine, and 4 is also fine. As a rule of thumb, what we say?
I think like 3 layers should be like...
That's what we should try.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we should try. But if yours is 4, if yours is 2, perfectly, no problem, no problem. As long as it's measurable.
Yeah, that brings us again to the next question.
Is it? Yeah,
yeah it is.
Beautiful bridge.
The question is, what layer in the goal tree has to be measurable? Because many people were asking, like I have the question of sustainable energy. I cannot measure sustainable energy. How should I do that?
So there's 2 different questions here. Maybe I don't understand it correctly.
No, they're both.
How can I measure it, or
no? But people were assuming that everything needs to be measurable in the goal tree. Like everything is a criteria automatically. So then, of course, that's an easy answer. But
okay, so that means that people also put units here.
Yeah, they try to.
They try to.
They try to.
What will be the use if you make this already measurable to further operationalize?
I guess not.
It is not the question for you, of course, because it's a question for the one who put it on the post. So maybe you can send us a tweet and we can come back to it later. But that will be a question. If you would already operationalize goals high up in the goal tree, why is there a need to further operationalize? I mean, you have criteria to measure the state of your system, to see that if you implement a certain solution, that system state moves into the direction that you want it to move. So that means that you need measuring points, you need yardsticks, measuring sticks. And if you already have them high up in your goal tree, then I don't see a need to further operationalize, personally.
Yeah.
If this one is already operational, I doubt a little bit, because we have a dilemma. We always have a dilemma. Yeah. We want the dilemma to be represented in a goal tree. And a dilemma is always at least 2 factors. You want to fly, but you don't want the noise, for instance. You want to study very briefly, but you still want to you still want to receive high grades for your exams. And it's very difficult, I think, to measure a dilemma in one criterion. So I think if this one is already operational, it will be a bit strange, but the second layer could be, and then you don't need a third. Could also be that this one is operational and you stop here, but at another branch you need one step further to operationalize.
So can we say that when you are at the point that you can make your factors measurable, that's the point that you need to stop looking for further?
That's what I would say, yeah. I hope that everybody also gets to that point. Yeah. We have seen in our discussion with our students many topics that you think people try to express it in numbers, but it's very difficult to do. And the danger is always, if you don't express it in numbers, that people easily neglect important topics. Yeah. But if you don't put it in your goal tree and at the same time say it's hard to measure, then it gets completely forgotten anyhow. So I hope people get to the level of measurements, but it's not always possible, I think.
Yeah. It's difficult. And maybe a last question before we move on to the examples on the forum. In my goal tree, I have a lot of one-on-one relations. What should I do to prevent this? What questions should I ask myself to come up with more goals?
Yeah, we have it on there. Basically, yeah. It's very. I don't have a recipe basically how to do it. I mean, the only way is that you keep on asking the "what is this" question, like we did here. And let's go back to this graph again. So basically, what you have is a goal tree that looks very simple. It looks like this. The goal tree you described, thank you for the question, by the way, because I forgot to thank you for the question. Great that you sent it in. The goal tree that you described looks like this. And that is a bit strange. And I think you already decided upon yourself that it was a bit strange, because you have something very abstract and you represent it by one thing, which is a little bit more concrete, and you represent it again by one other thing that's a little bit more concrete. That means that you lose quite a lot of information, because in this abstract goal there's a lot of things combined, and in this more concrete goal you focus, because it is more abstract, it is more concrete, you focus on the smaller part of the world. So that means that the information is lost here. This is actually larger than that, so that is strange. So you need at least 2 sub-goals. And the only way to find them is by asking the what question. What does it mean? Is there a way to make this more concrete? Is there a way to make this more measurable? And it's trying, it's endlessly trying, putting it on the forum and asking fellow students or asking us maybe to come up with suggestions to come up with more sub-goals. But I'm afraid I don't have another recipe. I mean, but that's what we do with our students, don't we? We sit down, we take a piece of paper, we keep on asking the what question, and we brainstorm.
Yeah.
Do you already know where some people are watching from, Vika? I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm looking actually. I saw Paraguay.
Paraguay.
And
welcome.
Let's see, Barcelona. Yeah. So that's what I'm getting in right now.
Any ideas where they are watching, or didn't
No,
I mention?
not yet.
Oh,
No photos on Twitter yet, but...
But maybe if you don't send a photo, maybe just let us know where you are watching from. We're just very curious where you are at the moment.
Yeah, that would be very nice.
Not so much the city, but
the exact.
You see. Yeah. Well, I think it's time to move on to the example we found on the forum.
Okay.
It's a very nice one.
Let's see. Can you put on the...
Yeah, shall I put it on the smart board? Let's see, where is it?
Yeah.
Here it is. Can we get that full screen maybe, Jan, just to have a better overview for the people who are watching? Thank you very much.
Great.
Yeah, that's great.
So, some discussion points.
Yeah, perfect. Shall we first just talk about this this thing? What you see here is a beautiful and nice picture of a gold tree. It's not in text.
No, it's a diagram. Yeah.
So it makes us very happy, I think, because it shows the relations. It shows the definition relations between abstract upper goals like life quality standards, higher economic benefits, etc., to more concrete criteria like things like increased workforce or more tourism. So the structure, I think, is very beautiful.
Yeah.
Very happy with it. And it's beautiful that it is broken down so very clearly into a layer that's completely measurable from the beginning to the end. From left to the right, everything has units. That means that somehow we should be capable of finding measures for this, finding numbers for this.
Finding numbers, yeah.
A way to measure it. So it's nicely broken down in criteria. What other things do we see?
Well, I think the first question is, what is the main goal here? Main goal is life quality standards.
I was curious to that too, and the only way to find out is to ask the person who wrote it. But what would you say is the problem here?
Well, you see in the sub-goals are higher life quality of citizens, higher economic benefits, so that it has a direction, like I want it higher, and it has a noun, well, economic benefits. Airport surrounding area development, that's not something with a direction per se.
Sounds like a description of an area, of a situation. Clearly this has something to do with aviation, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's...
maybe with what is it? People living close to an airport? And there is something with economy.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds very complete.
Yeah.
So what would you like to see here in the airport surrounding area development? Now is an area description.
Yeah.
Can we help this person a bit further into formulating a goal here?
Yeah, let's see. The sub-goals below there, measurable, are more land use for agriculture, more land use for business, and more green area. So it's more of a, it's area development, but it's...
Yeah, it's very abstract. It has some sort of the level of development of a certain area around the airport. That's more or less what I taste here.
Yeah.
That is what you measure, level of development, I think. And then in terms of business, agriculture, and nature.
Nature, yeah, I would say the...
I don't know if I'm very happy with level of development, but let's at least put it on because it makes it a little bit more concrete than what is currently there. So level of development of a certain area.
And maybe...
Let's do that in another color.
I guess they want a higher level, maybe even.
Yeah.
I can say, or... They want more land for business. And more.
I completely agree with you. This seems to be something that people want to see increased.
Yeah.
Clear.
So
maybe we can also go to the other two sub-goals and then see if we can help this person to make a more concrete or more realistic or more, I don't know what more. A better main goal. Main goal. If we go to higher life quality, that's a more difficult one than economic benefits usually because that's quite easy to measure most of the time. Higher life quality. So we have a higher. Makes us happy.
And then life quality measured in noise disturbance and employment.
Now this one I understand immediately, yeah? There's something with noise around airports that's everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering whether decibels is the way to measure it, because with decibels you measure noise, And what we want to measure here is disturbance. So that means that somehow we need to define at what level of decibels people get disturbed.
Yeah, true.
Some people, you see that they use some sort of Likert scale here. Say, okay, disturbances in terms of, on a scale of 1 to 5 or so, but it's not a real measurement. It's a perspective of somebody, so that's a bit tricky. Could we measure number of sleepless nights? Or is that...
Yeah, maybe number of complaints even. Or
yeah, complaints, that's nice. Where shall I write it down? Number of complaints. Don't put it on Twitter, that's not what I mean. Something with hours of sleep or so. I don't know, is that strange?
No, I guess that when you live near the airport and you have a lot of flyovers, then yeah.
So let's put it here too, and obviously the number of complaints should be lower, so low number of complaints, that's what you just said, and the hours of sleep should increase, I guess, so a higher number of hours of sleep. Do we understand something of the employees? Can we relate that to life quality of citizens? Do you think, Yasmin, you see a relation there?
Well, yeah, I
Basically,
do.
I don't really, so I hope you do.
Well, I mean, I understand what he or she means, but it's not that clear yet. So I'm trying to figure out like how we can formulate it in a different way.
So you relate it somehow to life quality. So it's not the living conditions then? It's not the atmosphere?
I mean, I guess the way he was thinking was when you have a job, so when you're employed, you have money, and that increases your life quality. But that's maybe a little bit too abstract.
Yeah. So maybe we need another, that is some sort of spendable income here, that has something to do with life quality. It's very dangerous to say that money is related to life quality, but I get your point immediately.
Yeah.
It gives you opportunities, let's put it that way.
Exactly.
And then maybe spendable income is a better goal than employment, because employment is causally related to income, and then I think we have some sort of solution in the goal tree that I don't like very much.
That's true.
Is spendable income?
Better.
Income, something of euros per, I don't know, week or so.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good idea.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
Yeah. Would we be happy if life quality would be measured in terms of number of complaints, number of sleepless hours, or numbers of hours of sleep, and income? Do we have more?
Yeah.
We are getting there, that's what I see. I read it from your face. We are getting there, but it's not yet.
It's not yet.
It's not yet.
No.
Maybe we move to the third one.
Yeah.
And then
come back.
Higher economic benefits, measured in increased workforce and measured in more tourism. Now this one, immediately, I think, is a solution.
That's how can I get higher economic benefits? I get that by having more tourism. And that's a causal link, and by that the solution. Yeah.
That is a very important one. I remember the goal tree we sketched just a couple of minutes ago with the why question and with the what question. Those are the two questions that you ask formulating a goal tree. So you should be able to ask the question, what is higher economic benefit? And the answer to the question, what is higher economic benefit, should be more tourism. That's not the case. The question that's being asked here is, how do we reach higher economic benefits? And then the answer is a solution, of course, and there's more tourism. So this one is very tricky. There is a causal relation here, it's not a definition relation. That means that this looks like a solution, and we don't want solutions in the goal tree. But the work is again here something with jobs. Here I see employees.
Yeah, we think higher economic benefits, increased workforce.
Do we need to operationalize it if we just say euros per year here? I mean, you can measure it.
I guess we can. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Shall we just measure this and just completely forget about this? Or are we then taking a shortcut?
No, I guess not. Because it is measurable, and as we said earlier, of course, when it's measurable, you don't need to specify further. So, yeah.
Definitely agree with you.
You shouldn't make it more complicated as it is. So.
Agree.
Should be fine.
So in this case, then we have sub-goals. Something with economy, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Measured in euros, maybe define it a little bit more concrete, I mean a little bit more explicit than it is right now. But here we have something measurable. There's something with life quality. We try to help you a little bit with spendable income, with number of complaints, etc. And there's something with the development of a certain area that you would like to increase. And now, so let's use another color. Green or blue?
Oh, whatever you like.
Green.
Green it is.
No, of course not. Blue.
Oh no, blue. You're right.
Public
Blue.
actor.
Yeah. Public. Yeah.
So, what do I do here? A public actor, like some sort of governmental organization?
Yeah.
Could be. Could be. So maybe a local government?
Yeah. Because it's...
And we always want things to be a bit more specific. So I don't know, council of a village,
I would
or
say.
a mayor, or
yeah, mayor, a person
mayor
that's
good,
very specific.
Yeah. And what could then be some sort of general goal? If that person wants higher economic benefits, something with economy, something with the life quality of the citizens living around an area, and at the same time make some developments into that area. Clearly something with aviation, although the definition here is business, agriculture and nature. Well, then the business is the aviation, of course. If we would just say higher life quality, would that be welfare of the people? Is that sort of too general?
Yeah.
Higher living standards?
Living standards, I guess that's... Because when living standards, it's easy to see that you need a quality of life.
Yeah. Living standard is clearly operationalized with life quality.
Yeah.
I mean, if you live fine, so to say, if you are happy where you're living, agree. Including the income, as you so nicely say. You need to be able to spend something, at least in the Netherlands that works very nicely.
And maybe benefits is not the right word, but or in higher economic value.
Yeah,
and then
you need some economic activity. We don't know yet what it exactly is, but that's where we're going for.
And then, of course, good surroundings, higher level of development,
And now I think the overall conclusion. When we see our students come up with goal trees, what's the first thing we look at? We want to see criteria that people can make a decision.
Yeah.
So if we judge this goal tree by the criteria and we look at it, we have land development, measurable, measurable, measurable. Something with complaints, hours of sleep, income, and something again with income.
Yeah.
Would it be possible to make a decision? I don't think we're going to give that answer.
No.
But
I think
that is the criterion of good criteria. Is it possible to make a decision?
Yeah, and I guess also, is it possible to, if you measure those criteria, can you measure via the sub-goals what if they have a higher living standard in one situation or the other?
Yeah, completely agree. Maybe that should do the summary of this goal tree. Ask yourself the question, if you make a goal tree, for instance this one, the criteria that come out, that's the reason why you make it. The criteria that come out, are they sufficient to help somebody decide? Are they sufficient maybe for yourself to make a decision? To compare several potential solutions on these criteria, the lowest layer of the goal tree, and then say, okay, I have enough information. If I only have this information, only have these numbers, then I can make a decision. If that's the case, then you have a good goal tree.
Well, thank you, Alexander.
Jasmine.
Thank you. I hope it was really clear. For me, it really was. So, time flies. As yet, we have come to the end of this webinar. But before we leave you, I would like to know, how did it go? And in general, how is the MOOC going?
I think the MOOC is going very well. I don't know the exact numbers, but if I see how many people are watching the videos, some of you live, but a lot of you also later in the week. I think there are close to 28,000 people now enrolled worldwide, which is an enormous amount, and there's so much activity going on. We were really motivated to help you all out and make it into a better course. So yeah, is the MOOC going well to my standards, to my criteria? Definitely, for sure.
It is.
Yeah.
What is your experience, Vika?
Yeah, it's great again to see so much activity going on here as well and on Twitter, but of course in the discussion forum. And we try to keep keep it all up and try to update and answer all your questions. But you're with many, and as you can see, we're with few. But it's great to see how you're all working together and collaborating. So yeah, keep it up.
Well, that's all good news. Well, I would like to still invite everyone to keep on posting, post your questions, post your work on the forum. We love to see it. Everyone loves to see it. Please keep on doing this. We'll see you next week, which is November the 27th, a Thursday, at 6 p.m. UTC. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
No. Yay!